It's time for Thunder at the Fair with Mitch Nellis.
Broadcasting live from the 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan Studios. Powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Oh, get up, Keaton Gut and Joe. I've been married a long time ago. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Cotton Eye Joe? This is Thunder at the Fair. My name is Mitch Nellis, a.k.a. Thunder. It is day 2 at the Wisconsin State Fair, and it is beyond redonkulous the weather we are having right now in Wisconsin, in West Allis, West Milwaukee, Wauwatosa, the corner of where they all meet with the city of Milwaukee, where Wisconsin State Fair, the Milwaukee Mile, the Expo Center, the Expo Hall, everything going on here at the Wisconsin State Fair. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you to the fair for having us out here. And I don't have words to describe how thankful I am to be out here and how thankful I am for the weather. I do have words, however, for our Milwaukee Brewers, and we will get there. The trade deadline yesterday, the Brewers involved in a couple minor deals, but nothing major. We will get to that. Camille Davis, Locked on Bucks, Locked on Packers, all the podcasts. She's going to join us in person at the end of the first hour, so we'll jump on with Camille and hear what she thinks about what's going on at training camp, everything Packers. We will have Bart Lundy on the show today. Bart Lundy, of course, the head basketball coach at UWM. They have a golf outing coming up. We just want to check in with him, how he's dealing with NIL and all those crazy NCAA rules, and will the NCAA exist, and how does a mid-major even navigate all that? We'll talk to him about that. IndyCar driver Scott McLaughlin's going to join the show as well in the 1 o'clock hour. We'll talk with Scott. He won the mile last year, and he's coming back this year. They're going to be here in about 3 weeks. And then Ryan Horvat, and if you don't know who Ryan Horvat is, you're listening to the wrong station, because he was on this station for a long, long time. Ryan Horvat is going to join us in the 1 o'clock hour as well. He's based in D.C. now. I know he does a lot on the gambling side of things, but he's also going to talk some Brewers and Washington Nationals with us, so we will get to that. Joining me in studio, the one, the only Charlie Usen. What's up, Big Charlie?
Oh, happy to be here. It sounds like it's another beautiful day out there. Excited to hear that. I was thinking about maybe stopping by the fair later tonight, too. So
well, you definitely should, and if you're watching on YouTube, you can see that Grandpa Randy Dandy just delivered some root beer milk. I know Sparky was talking about root beer milk yesterday. Hold on. Oh, it's delicious. Yes, we are right across from the milk house. I can see it. The milk house is here. Thank you, Randy. Dandy Randy right there. Grandpa Randy, he's got a shirt with the 4 names of his grandkids on it, and he's with his he's got 2 grandsons, 2 granddaughters. He's got the grandsons out with him today. Thank you to Randy for the milk, and thank you to the fair. Charlie, you should get out here. Like, you got to make it happen at some point.
I got to see the pig races. That's what I told Sparky yesterday. That's my favorite thing.
And that's what we talked about with Tim McCormick yesterday, too, is like it's like you're walking around, you can see Milwaukee. We're used to being in this urban, suburban area, and you turn the corner, and there's pig races, and there's milking the cow, and there's all the sorts of, there's the auctions and all that sort of stuff. So get out here for all the things that are happening here at the State Fair. Well, that's all that's happening at the State Fair, but we got to talk about our Milwaukee Brewers. We got to dive into it, because I go to every website, and I'm checking out the headlines, and we've got Correa returning to the Astros. We've got the Padres getting O'Hearn and Laureano. We've got the Yankees getting Bednar and Doval. We've got the Cubs getting Castro, but sad about a tight starting pitching market. But meanwhile, the Red Sox get May from the Dodgers, and the Rangers get Merrill Kelly from the Diamondbacks. Trades did happen yesterday. They just didn't really happen too much for our Milwaukee Brewers. The 2 deals that were made, Nestor Cortez, who apparently wasn't even going to get a shot to get back into the starting rotation. I don't know that he requested a trade like Aaron Savali did, but he was traded to the Padres for Brandon Lockridge, who apparently is really fast, but I don't think there's a whole lot else there. I can't believe that. Like, I know Nestor Cortez has been hurt most of the year, but I can't believe that, like, a lefty starter in Major League Baseball, all he does is get you a AAA stolen base specialist. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. We'll get into that deal in a second. The Brewers then made another deal with a little more significance. They acquired right-handed reliever Shelby Miller. We all remember Shelby Miller, of course. He was a starter with the Cardinals years ago. Miller 3-3 with a 1.98 ERA and 10 saves with Arizona this year. But he is just coming back from an injury. He's on the 15-day injured list with a right forearm strain. He is expected back soon-ish. It's for a player to be named later. I guess we can mention that Jordan Montgomery was in that deal as well. And we all know Jordan Montgomery has had some success in Major League Baseball, but his contract's ended up at the end of the year, and he's hurt, so he's never going to pitch. That was just a salary dump by Arizona to make up some of that money for the Brewers. So Shelby Miller will help the bullpen, right? Shelby Miller will be an arm in that bullpen that will help that bullpen. This Lockridge kid, like, whatever. I mean, Jackson Churio expected to be. I don't think he's officially been put on the 10-day injured list yet, but expected to happen today. I'm sure it'll be. He did it on. He just did it on Wednesday, so so the clock will technically start today because it's games, and so we'll see. We'll see what happens with Lockridge, and he'll be on the Major League roster probably, taking Churio's spot. Overall, I think we can all agree, an underwhelming trade deadline for the Milwaukee Brewers. And therein lies the question. 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. We're getting answers on every end of the spectrum. Are you happy the Brewers didn't make a big deal, didn't mess with the chemistry of this team? They have the pieces in place to make a run. No one can match up with their starting rotation regardless of the trade deadline. Are you of the idea that they've already made their deals? Listen, they brought Jacob Mizorowski up from the minors. Brandon Woodruff came up from injury. Andrew Vaughn was acquired for Aaron Savali. Those three are better than anybody that any team got, save Eugenio Suarez and the Mariners maybe. But those three, and especially the way that Vaughn's played, are better than anybody. So you're good with what the Brewers did. They just didn't do it on July 31st. They beat everybody to the punch by making the Vaughn deal and by Woodruff being ready to pitch. Or are you just like, are you pulling your hair out, throwing things at the TV? I rate beyond belief that the Brewers, like the Packers, can't figure out a way to go all in. They can't figure out a way to do what needs to be done to win at the highest level. That it's great to make the playoffs, and we all love making the playoffs. But when you lose in the first round to the Mets, and you lose in the first round to the Diamondbacks, and you lose in the first round to the Braves, and you just lose in the first round over and over and over again. You lost in a wild card game to Washington a few years ago. You can't get past that first round. You can't play relevant baseball since 18-19. Relevant playoffs baseball, I will say, that it's not good enough anymore to just make the playoffs. I'm not exactly sure where I fall on that spectrum. Charlie, do you have a strong feeling one way or the other where you are right now today?
This whole trade deadline, I was really excited for the Milwaukee Brewers to finally defeat my expectations, go out there and make a move, make something happen that they haven't made happen in a really long time. And this morning, when I woke up, got in the shower, I was kind of just disappointed. I didn't really have the same kind of enthusiasm that I had for the Milwaukee Brewers that I had last week, which kind of hurts to say because it's the same team. They're still going to play well, but now I'm thinking about the playoffs and how right now, looking at the playoffs, we're still missing things that I felt like the Milwaukee Brewers could have very easily gotten at the trade deadline.
Looking at the National League standings, the Brewers are in first place. They have the best record in the entire National League. They have the best record in all of Major League Baseball right now at 64-44. Although I did see this stat. I don't know if you saw this, Charlie, but like basically in the history of Major League Baseball, it's the worst winning percentage by the team with the best record in baseball as of August 1st. So, being 64-44, being 20 games over, having a .593 winning percentage is really, really good. But it's not dominant. Like, it's a 5-game losing streak away from still being really good, but being mixed in with 10 other teams. So the Brewers are 1 game up on the Cubs. They're a game and a half up on the Dodgers, 2.5 up on the Mets, 3 up on Philly, 4.5 up on the Padres. Those are the teams that are relevant. Your next team is the Reds, who are 8 back. So I'd say it gets a lot less relevant then. all those teams, I mean, the Cubs made trades, but nothing really of significance. Cubs fans are waking up this morning feeling kind of like how Brewers fans are waking up. Like, Soraka is an okay pitcher, but nothing interesting. Willie Castro is a decent infielder, but, like, nothing exciting there. The Dodgers got better in the bullpen, and they've been dealing with bullpen injuries and pitching injuries all year long. But, you know, the Dodgers should be able to rely on what they have to get to where they need to get to. The Mets and the Phillies both made big upgrades in their bullpens. It seemed like bullpens happened, starting pitching didn't. And that's what the Brewers did too. They got Shelby Miller. They got rid of Nestor Cortez. And if Nestor Cortez ends up being, doing stuff for the Padres, I think we'll all be upset about that as well. I would have liked to have seen something and I had predicted a reliever and a veteran middle infielder. And the veteran, whether it's a middle infielder, veteran outfielder, veteran presence, none of that happened. And we've seen that over the years, from Jerry Hairston Jr. to Mark Hanna and everybody in between. We've seen a veteran brought in just to provide stability, to provide depth. And we did not see that on the offensive side of the ball at all. Like, this guy from San Diego, this Lockridge, like, is a nothing. Like, he's a nothing. He's actually a negative when you look at what he can do for WAR. Like, I guess he's a pinch runner, but I would actually argue everybody who doesn't start for the Brewers, like when Shuriel's healthy and Blake Perkins is on the bench, Blake Perkins is just as good of a pinch runner that you don't really need a speedster. So I don't really understand that. I don't really understand what the Brewers did, unless they were just trying to get rid of Cortez's salary, which they didn't really need to do. I don't know if he deserved a chance to pitch a couple starts in majors and then see what you do with him, if you release him or if you try to trade him through waivers or whatever you try to do. But I would have liked to have seen something. Now, if they had really done something, if they had really gone all in with a Suarez or with someone like that, I don't know how that would have worked. Like, I don't know what that would have looked like. That's something that we wouldn't have been able to judge for a couple of years based on prospects. But if it meant a World Series appearance, Charlie, can you imagine a World Series appearance? I mean, do you remember 18 when the Brewers and the Dodgers went 7 in the NLCS and Milwaukee was on fire in a good way? Milwaukee was celebrating, everybody high-fiving in the streets, everybody in good moods. Of course, we all know what that was like with the Milwaukee Bucks over the years. But, like, if the Brewers could get to a World Series, and frankly, they are a team that is in competition to get to the World Series. They just didn't really do anything yesterday to put them in a position to get to the World Series.
No, they didn't. I think what makes it more frustrating for me, at least, is the fact that a lot of other National League teams did make moves. I mean, you saw the Cubs. They didn't have the best trade deadline, but they still went out there and tried to make something happen for pieces of their team that they needed help at. The Milwaukee Brewers, they added pieces at this deadline. The 3 trades that they made at the deadline were for a backup catcher. Yep. So Danny Jansen, who doesn't really need to be on this team other than you wanted to cut Eric Haas to save some money. So you get him and bring him in to be that fill-in guy. You get Lockridge, who isn't really anything, hasn't done much for the Padres, hasn't really done that much in minor leagues either. And then you get a couple of veteran pitchers that one of them you're probably going to cut at some point here. I mean, that doesn't feel like any of that helps out the current roster and the spots that they needed to be helped at. The Cubs went out and got, for what it was worth, a semi-usable relief pitcher to help out with that bullpen. They went out and got a utility man, which is something they need because they have a lot of position locks on their infield right now. So guys like Michael Busch can really only play first base. Matt Shaw can play a little bit of second base, but he's really truly a third baseman, and they don't want to move him at all. Nico Horner and Dansby Swanson can't play anywhere. So you have to go and get that piece. And then all these other teams that are ahead of the Brewers currently, the Mets, the Phillies, are going out there making moves at what they need. And the Brewers just stood pat with moves that didn't really feel like they helped the roster right now.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. So I posted a question on my Facebook page, both at Mitch Nellis and at Thunder MKE. 2 different pages, I guess. I guess at Mitch Nellis is my Facebook profile, and at Thunder MKE is my Facebook page. And I wrote, am I mad the Brewers didn't make a move or happy they kept the team intact? Well, Brian says you are happy, and pointing out that they made deals earlier than the deadline, actually being more aggressive than all the teams that waited until yesterday. That's his guess of how I would. I don't know if he's trying to be me. I was asking my other people to give me my opinion, but I was also asking them to give me their opinion. And so Brian says, and I think that's mostly the way I feel. if I'm Caleb Durbin and Isaac Collins today, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good about my spot. I'm feeling good about what's going on. But if I'm Joey Ortiz, man, do I feel like I stole cookies from the cookie jar? Like, do I feel like I got away with something that, like, I should be replaced at this point, and I'm not? The Brewers should have made a deal. And I know Carlos Correa said he was only either staying with Minnesota or going to Houston, and that was it. But, like, could we have had a conversation with the Twins about getting Carlos Correa to be the shortstop for the rest of the year? I know he's got a ton of money left. I know it probably doesn't make any sense, but in the short term, does it make sense to get a better shortstop than Joey Ortiz?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't. I feel like I don't exactly know the answer there, and that's why I'm asking. Like, am I mad that they didn't make a move, or happy they kept the team intact? Lot of responses on the Thunder MKE Facebook page. David says happy. Nobody seems to notice that there wasn't much out there this year, which means that other teams are asking a king's ransom for their talent. The Brewers, I feel, have at least 5 or 6 untouchables in the farm system. Jerry says, considering they brought up the Miz and the return of Woody plus Vaughn, the crew didn't need to make any blockbuster moves. Jansen is better defensively than Haas. Okay. Friend of show Mike Wickett, longtime personality on The Fan. All the second-place Brewers did before the trade deadline was acquire the hottest hitter in baseball while giving up a bag of used balls. They're now in first place. And so a lot of, Adam says currently first place in MLB for a reason, trust the system. But Robin says mad. This team has a chance to make a run. Everyone else got better, and the Brewers did not. Unless the left side of the infield starts hitting more, mainly shortstop, it's going to be a missed opportunity. Plus, with Jackson missing some time with a hammy, those are tricky. It all worries me. They had a chance to make a move and didn't. I hope it works out, but I'm not as optimistic. I've got a ton more comments here on the Facebook page. We'll be sending stuff out on the Fan Twitter as well. Are you mad? Are you happy they didn't mess with the chemistry? Does the Josh Hader trade still influence how this organization does business based on how that team reacted when Josh Hader was traded? And so are they, and to a lesser extent, I don't think anybody was surprised that Willie Adames wasn't re-signed for the dollars, but his presence in that locker room is missed. He was a huge personality, a huge positive force in that locker room. And yeah, even if he's struggling with San Francisco, his numbers are still 1,000 times better than Joey Ortiz's are at shortstop. This is Thunder at the Fair. We're at Wisconsin State Fair. We are in the front corner of the Expo Center, directly across from the Milk House. We can see the Milwaukee Mile. I will say when I drove in this morning, there were a few less cars on the Milwaukee Mile track, so I got to open it up a little bit. I didn't go too fast, Charlie, but I probably got up to about 50 or 60, like, all right, in a car line that I definitely wasn't supposed to go like faster than 20-25 in. I opened it. I let the cars in front of me like kind of go ahead, and then I opened it up, and it felt good, my friend.
I feel like we got to get you in an IndyCar, man.
I do. IndyCar. I mean, IndyCar's a lot faster than NASCAR, right?
I think so.
I think I need to figure out how to control it because I just want to go fast. So I got to figure that out. Camille Davis is going to be joining us at the end of this hour. We've got a ton of guests. We've got a ton to get to. Sterling Sharp is going into the Hall of Fame. SummerSlam is this weekend, and the Brewers are in Washington at the Nationals. Game 1 tonight, and it's on Apple Plus, I think. So we'll get to all that. More Brewers talk. 414-677-1250 is the Nikolai Lofan talking text line. You're listening to Thunder at the Fair on The Fan. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Whoever put the music together for Thunder at the Fair knew what they were doing. I'm loving it so far. This is Thunder at the Fair. My name's Mitch Nellis, a.k.a. Thunder. It's 12:50 a.m. It's 105.7 FM, The Fan. We are presented at the Fair by Potawatomi Sportsbook, where they will be showing SummerSlam tomorrow night and Sunday night. It is a 2-night affair. Cody Rhodes, that's right, the son of Dusty Rhodes, the American Dream. Cody Rhodes, of course, the American Nightmare, is taking on WWE Undisputed Champion John Cena. And this one's gonna get ugly. This one's gonna get dirty. This one's gonna get violent. There's no love lost between these two gentlemen. Also, Jey Uso and Roman Reigns, the original Bloodline, taking on Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. They, of course, with Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman. Seth Rollins is injured right now, and we'll see what that means for that faction. It should be a blast at the sports book this weekend. We are here at the fair, and we are absolutely living the dream. It is beautiful out. There's music, there's food, there's smells. I wish smells worked through YouTube. I wish they worked for you, Charlie, because you turn the corner and you go right to the Philly cheesesteaks right here, and just that sizzle of the steak on the grill. Oh, baby, it's so good.
I mean, that might be torture since I can't actually get it. You'd have to be able to get it through the YouTube screen for me to, like the actual food, so I could at least taste it, because that'd be just rude, you know?
That's true. You should be subscribing to our YouTube channel at The Fan Milwaukee. You should be watching us on YouTube at The Fan Milwaukee. You do need that @ sign at The Fan Milwaukee. You can, and while you're there, you can type in questions. You can do that on the text line too, but if you're watching us, you can do it right there from the YouTube page. 414-677-1250. Speaking of the Nicolay Law Fan Talking text line, 414-677-1250. Are you mad the Brewers didn't make a move? Are you glad they didn't mess with the chemistry? Are you somewhere in the middle? John's in Franklin. Let's go to John and hear what he thinks about the Brewers at the trade deadline. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great. Thunder, loving the eye of the tiger there. Nice intro music.
Same. That was spot on, baby. That was chef's kiss.
For sure. Yeah, I'll tell you what. I don't know what it's like down by you. We're out here in Pewaukee trying to put siding on a house, and this smoke out here, man, it's for real. This wildfire smoke.
I feel like it's a little hazy here for sure. I feel like yesterday it was worse though. Like yesterday, I got out of the house and I smelled it right away. I don't feel like it's quite as bad today. And I know that we had Mark Baden on the show yesterday, our favorite meteorologist from Channel 12, and he told us that by Monday or Tuesday it should be fully cleared up for this run of smoke from Canada. But be careful out there, man. It's no joke, and you don't want to get that stuff in your lungs too much. So be careful.
But the temperature is great. The temperature is wonderful.
Yep, the temperature is great. When the sun peeks through the clouds and the smoke, it's wonderful as well. All right, so what did you think of the Brewers trade deadline, my friend?
I can't quite get to disappointed. If you would have put a gun to my head, this is what I would have expected. Part of it anyway. I would have expected a little bit of a relief pitcher, and maybe somewhat of some outfield depth with a little bit of stick there. I think Anastasio is a cheapskate, but I don't hate the guy. And I do, it's not like the Brewers have been sitting on their hands. And I know Sparky's not going to like this, but they've been making moves for the last couple of weeks. And the moves they made prior to that, these kids they've brought up have made more of a difference than our stars have, or the people that we perceive as stars, or at least as much. They've done so well. And if you look at how they are rolling, and then to pick it right up after the All-Star break, a little bump with Miami, but I mean they played very well. They're pretty much sustaining the success that, it's not like the All-Star break stopped their momentum. You're not going to say that. I think you roll with these kids because you could see a scenario where you brought Suarez in. Now, what if he isn't quite as good as he's prolific as he's been up to this point?
That is a risk you take, John. That is you're absolutely right. That is a risk you take when someone changes scenery. You never know if it's going to keep going the way it's been going.
And think about the what's going on in the heads of these young guys. If you're one of these young guys, if you're Durbin, if you're Collins, what are you thinking? What more do I need to do, my friends? You know what I'm saying? So I'm cool with how it went down. I'm fine with it. I am fascinated at how the rest of the season is going to play out.
Yeah, I am as well. And, John, thanks so much for the call. I think that's spot on. Is like, at this point, it doesn't matter. At this point, the trade deadline happened yesterday, and so we do have to move forward. And it'll be interesting to see, can Caleb Durbin keep playing the way he's been playing? Can Isaac Collins keep playing the way he's been playing? If the two of them can keep playing the way they've been playing, this team has a real shot to do something special because we know the pitching is going to be there. We just don't know about the offense. We don't know what that's going to look like in the playoffs, if they can hit in the playoffs, because the playoffs are a different animal, no doubt about it. 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 is the Nicolay Law Fan Talk and Text line. John jumps off. If you want to jump on, you can. If you want to shoot us a text, you can do that as well. But let's go back to some more Facebook comments because Facebook comments are coming in fast and furious. The question I put up, am I mad the Brewers didn't make a move or happy they kept the team intact? Daniel says, I think many of the teams made moves just to make moves. Some real dogs switched places, and not the good kind of dog that Tommy and I talk about when we talk about Durbin and Collins. It would have been nice to get a bat or two, but not an excessive price and not for a player already on the IL. I know I may regret saying this in late September, but as of now, it's a good team that needed some supplementation. Justin says, I'm not sure what you or everyone else was expecting. They made their moves earlier in the season, and it's paying off. They also acquired pitchers yesterday. Did you think they would get Carlos Correa or something? So they absolutely made their moves earlier, and we've talked about that. Listen, Vaughn, Mizorowski, and Woodruff are real moves, and Jansen's something. We'll see. It's not going to have too much of an impact. They got a pitcher yesterday. They got Shelby Miller. Jordan Montgomery doesn't count. He's never going to pitch for the Brewers unless they, for some reason, brought him back next year on a new contract. I did not think they were going to get Carlos Correa. I never thought they were going to get Carlos Correa. But had they gotten Carlos Correa, my curiosity would have been piqued. I know Carlos Correa's not having a great season. I know he's got a big contract, but he's also playing in much more of a pitcher's park than AmFam Field is. I would have been really curious about Carlos Correa on this roster. I hate that Astros team with a burning passion because of the way they cheated baseball. I mean, it's not like I love the Dodgers either, so it's like I don't feel bad for the Dodgers. If there was a tornado or an earthquake and the Astros and the Dodgers both I don't want anybody to die or anything, but if they both got lost in the caves in an earthquake, I'd be okay with that. But Carlos Correa was always looked like a guy who was having fun playing baseball, and brings obviously a championship experience to the team. So I wouldn't have hated that move. I probably would have hated, and I didn't see what Houston had to give up. I'm guessing not that much because taking on that contract is really the giving up of what you need to do. Knowing that the Brewers have the amount of players they're going to need to pay in the future, Frelick, Turang, the pitchers, the young pitchers, of course. I don't know that Correa would have made any sense. But the curious baseball fan in me would have liked to see it. Cheryl writes in, what's done or not is done. Let's believe in this team and support them down the stretch. Dave says, what's important is that the farm is still intact. And Derek says, Miller will help us. There really wasn't that much out there, and I would have sold, I would have sold the farm for, to be honest. So there wasn't that much out there to sell the farm for. Arnold is trying to build long-term success, and that is probably the best way to go with limited payroll. So I get that. I get all that. I understand all that. But I do question and I do wonder, at what point do you trade if you have so many good players in the minors, so many good players at Nashville, and obviously the success they've had at Double-A and at Single-A this year. If you've had that success, at what point do you just do you tweak and put a little bit of that talent into a trade? Not a lot of it. And I know they traded a prospect for Priester. And I know that they traded a prospect for in the Was it the Jansen deal? Yeah, in the Jansen deal. Like, I know some prospects did go out. So I'm not saying no prospects went out. But I just would have liked it. I'm curious. Here's what I wish. Right, Charlie?
What do you wish?
I wish that we lived in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Okay.
And we had access to the multiverse.
Okay.
And we could play like 3 Brewers seasons at a time. Like, we could play a Brewers season as is. We could play a Brewers season where they like trade everybody and get all the names, and then maybe just like one bigger trade, and just see how they all go. Because then we can all have opinions, right? Then we can all see which would have worked out the best. As is, we live in our universe, whichever universe number this is, according to Doctor Strange, and here we are. So I will take this as is. I want Shelby Miller to get healthy. I want his sub-2 ERA to join and help this bullpen. I do want to see what this means for August and September for Logan Henderson and Chad Patrick and Tobias Myers, if they are arms that can help out of the bullpen. I am a little worried about the lefties out of the bullpen. Hall, Koenig, and Ashby have been asked to do a lot, and it can be viewed as a luxury to have 3 lefties out of the bullpen. But when you're using them as much as they're using all 3 of them, you gotta be a little careful there. So I do wonder. I don't think they needed another lefty in the bullpen. I just think they need to manage it a little. Like, if there are a couple of other arms that can go an inning or two. Especially, I really think Logan Henderson could be that guy. Like the way he pitched in his 3 starts, the strikeout to walk ratio and the strikeout per inning ratio that he had, that was just magnificent. I wouldn't mind seeing him up with the club toward the end of the season.
I'd prefer just to see the starting pitchers go longer, and then that way you don't have to use the bullpen as much. I think that's what I'm looking at here, is that a guy like Brandon Woodruff continues to get healthy, and there's a shot that he may be on a pitch limit throughout the rest of the season, just like Jacob Mizorowski. But if those guys aren't going to go long, you have to let Quinn Priester go at least 5 innings every start. You have to let a Jose Quintana go 5 innings every single start in order to save that bullpen too. It can't just be through adding more arms into that, because then you just add more questions into your bullpen as well.
I hear, Charlie, you say go 5 or maybe 6. I think they have to start going 6. Like, I think we're seeing way too many 5 2/3.
Yep.
And I get it that at 5 2/3 with a runner or 2 on, and for Quintana or Priester, especially if you're switching around to get the matchup you want, righty on righty or lefty on lefty, I get that you're making that move. But I think they, whether it's their mindset, whether it's Murphy's mindset, whether it's Hook's mindset, whether it's the pitching staff as a whole, especially with protecting Mizorowski and especially with protecting Woodruff, I think we need to figure out a way to get the rest of the guys to go minimum 6 innings every single start. Starters just go 7. Starters just go 8. Starters just go 6 1/3, 6 2/3, whatever it is. They got to get these starters to go deeper into games. Get them the rest they need, get them the mindset they need, and get them on that mound for just a little bit longer. This is Thunder at the Fair. We're at Wisconsin State Fair. We're here today. We're here all of next week. We're just having a blast. The weather is absolutely amazing. The food is delicious. Again, a shout out to Sheboygan Pasty Company, SheboyganPasty.com. They brought over the beef. They brought over the blueberry peach. Absolutely delicious. Check them out. They're at the Products Pavilion, the Wisconsin Products Pavilion, of course, because they're in Sheboygan, so they're a Wisconsin product. Camille Davis is going to join the show. You know her. She's on the Mason Crosby Show and on Packet A Radio all the time. I feel like we should just hire her already. Let's go. Let's give her a part-time job. Let's get her an Odyssey email address, and let's get Camille Davis on the team. I'm in.
Make it easy.
Sparky listening? Is that? I'll talk to Sparky about
all
that.
right.
Well, Charlie, I won't put that on you. I'll work on that. Yep. Camille Davis coming up next. This is Thunder at the Fair on the Fan, brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. This is Thunder at the Fair. We are living the dream at the Wisconsin State Fair. It is absolutely beautiful out here. A gentleman just walked by in a Detroit Lions shirt and an LA Dodgers hat. While I appreciate the theme of the blue, I don't know if you want to pick fights with like the baseball and the football fans here at the Wisconsin State Fair, but we appreciate you being here and spending your money. Oh, if he gets lost, people can find the LA hat. I love that. Joining us now on Thunder at the Fair, presented by Potawatomi Sportsbook, 1250 AM, 105.7 FM, The Fan, free on the Odyssey app and on the iHeart app and wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify, all the things, is our best friend, Camille Davis, a.k.a. Camille Monet. Camille, how you doing, my friend?
I am doing great. It's a beautiful Friday to be outside, too. The air quality is a bit better than what we've been experiencing the last few days, so It's a perfect day to be at the fair talking some sports.
I feel like the weather may have just turned a little cloudy. Like, it's still beautiful out. The temperature's fine.
Yeah.
I think people are okay out here with, like, suns out, guns out, wearing no sleeves.
No sleeves.
And if some people are wearing a sweatshirt, like, I think you could see that, too, today. Because you got a little wind, and the clouds did just roll in. But it is, like, perfect walking around, people watching weather. One of my favorite things to do at the fair, and I just did it, literally with this dude, is, like, to see what sports gear people are wearing. Because years ago, like 15, 20 years ago, when I started my career, I'd be at Summerfest or I'd be at State Fair, and it was all Packers gear.
Yeah,
it was all Packers gear. It was a little Brewers, and it was no Bucks. That's what it was. And now you see Giannis jerseys everywhere.
All the time.
You're still seeing, because we're in the middle of it, you're still seeing a lot of Brewers gear and, of course, a lot of Packers gear because the Packers always rule.
Always.
But you see way more Bucks gear than which is great. Like, and we'll get to the Bucks gear. I know you had a post, and we saw the Cream City. We got to get to that. We'll get to that. But we're going to start with Green Bay Packers, and I know you do podcasting, of course, Locked On Bucks and all that stuff. But you do Packers podcasting as well, right?
Yep.
Where do people hear your Packers podcast?
Right now at the Pack-A-Day podcast, I was working with Cheesehead TV 2 seasons ago. So I'm around in the Packers podcast sphere for sure.
Nice. Well, let's start with Matthew Golden, because last year, before the season started, we were told we had 3 number ones.
Yeah.
Dobbs, Reed, and Wicks.
Yep.
And that, like, we were good. The wide receiver room was good. Mm-hmm. We were happy. We were excited about that. And I would argue all 3 of them underperformed last year based on where they were 2 years ago and the talent level that we believe they have and where they can get to. Is that still? Are they still kind of like 1B/2 wide receivers? And how much has that wide receiver room changed with the I wouldn't say emergence yet, because we've had a week of training camp, just with the presence of a first-round draft pick, Matthew Golden.
It changes the stakes in the locker room, because you look at, first of all, it's a numbers count where you're looking around like, okay, we already had a really big wide receiver room.
Yep.
And this past draft, we add 2 more to the room. You add in free agency as well. So it's like you're looking around the room and you're like, man, it's a lot of different receivers in here.
Yes.
To the point where we saw Bo Melton turn to a cornerback.
Yes,
we did.
Like, because he wants to make the team.
He wants to, and it sounds like the Packers also want him to make the team because of how good he is on special teams.
Yes.
So there is pressure in that room, and early reports are saying that Matthew Golden is looking every part of a first-round draft pick, so that adds additional pressure. And it's a Packers wide receiver group that still has the talent. I think the biggest disappointment last year was just like the amount of drops and self-inflicted bad things that were happening on the team. So, everyone's on notice of how they have to improve.
Yeah. Camille Davis joining us here, Thunder at the Fair on The Fan. And I completely agree about that last year. It was certainly self-inflicted. But, listen, you got to clean that up. You got to figure that out. Like, Dontavian Wicks, I know, and people can say this till they're blue in the face, oh, well, he reminds me of a young Davante Adams. So I will tell you this. Davante Adams' second season in the NFL, I was hosting the Mitch Nellis show on a different radio station, and I said, they got to release him.
Got to cut him.
I said, I said, you just got to cut this guy. He can't play NFL football. I said that about Davante Adams. But you know what? His second year, he didn't look like he could play NFL. He had too many big drops in key situations.
Yeah.
Third and shorts or deep throws where he was open, and he was just dropping everything in sight. That was kind of like Wicks. Now, we have no idea if Wicks will develop.
Right.
Obviously, we'd love that. But what we're hearing about Golden and just making big play after big play, but not just that, but making the short play and the speed of his feet after a catch. You got to catch the ball first.
Yes.
You can't run. You can't go. Without the if you leave the ball on the ground behind you. But just like that dynamic that he can bring to this offense, I think everybody's excited about.
And it's needed, too, especially with Christian Watson being out. You could be without Watson, you don't even have that vertical deep threat in the offense. And Golden has the speed, not the same size as Watson, but the foot speed is real for him. And to be able to have a receiver out there that can put the burners on is really, really important because it stresses the defense in so many different ways when you have to account for someone's speed. And if the hands are sure as well, like you are dealing with somebody who can make a big impact in his rookie year.
So you mentioned Christian Watson. I don't know if you saw the news yesterday. So Christian Watson, his fastest he's ever run is 23 miles an hour.
Okay.
I assume that's pretty good. I don't know. I've never been timed how fast I can read, but I bet I could get up to 7 or 8. I bet I could get.
See, I'm not even going to over-exaggerate myself. I can give you a good 5 miles per hour at best.
Fair. So his top speed in his career is 23. He was running 22 yesterday. Wow. He was on the sideline, and he's far away from contact.
Yeah.
But he's letting it loose a little bit. And when he first got hurt, we thought, all right, he's out till November at the earliest, maybe even for the whole year. Then as the offseason goes on, all right, he's ahead of schedule, maybe sometime in October, late October. Mm-hmm. Dude is running sprints on the sidelines right now. And listen, some guys are just freaks of nature and come back from injury that way. What would it mean to this room? Because we've been talking about Reed, Wicks, and Dobbs.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about Golden. And Savion Williams hasn't been able to do much. Mm-hmm. He's had some injuries and now in concussion protocol, I think. We know what Tucker Kraft can bring. We think Luke Musgrave's going to help that tight end room as well. What if Christian Watson is ready sooner than we think, and that dynamic is added to this offense?
It's a beautiful thing when you think about Watson being healthy earlier than expected and what that can do, especially if you have some configurations out there where you have Watson and Golden and they both have the speed that can really stress the offense or the defense. Because when Watson went out last year, you saw the whole pass game just seemed like it fell apart a little bit without the threat of him being able to stretch the field.
It did.
And I
really
think the hard part, though, is for Jordan Love and for Matt LaFleur, it's keeping all these different receivers happy along the way. And I know Matt LaFleur was saying, here's what's going to help winning. Winning should help. And last offseason, you heard a lot of the wide receivers in the room talking about it's about the team. I'm not worried about my own individual stats. But then a few weeks into the season, you have Romeo Dobbs getting suspended because he was reportedly unhappy with his role in the offense at that point. So, it's a good problem to have until it becomes a problem to have.
Yes, yeah, and that's obviously Gutekunst's job, and it's LaFleur's job on the field. It's Gutekunst's job with how he deals with the roster, and we've talked about during the offseason, does Romeo Dobbs end up a Steeler? Because he and Aaron, he's one of the guys that Aaron actually liked. Because Aaron didn't like the young guys.
Not many of them.
But he liked Romeo, so who knows how that goes. One of the other big storylines out of training camp has been the offensive line. And last year, Jordan Morgan, a first-round pick, looked like he was going to be in a straight rotation, then was hurt, out for the rest of the year. They start training camp, and first practice, first offense, he's not in the top 5.
Yeah.
And he's worked his way in, and they've been playing. And I know that when Adam Stenavich talked on Wednesday, he said, we feel like we have 6, 7, maybe even 8 starters. But offensive line, you need to have consistency. And you really yes, if you have one guy who's shuffling in, that can work sometimes. But you really like having 5 guys because then you learn each other's spacing. You learn what they're doing. What are we going to make of Jordan Morgan? Is he going to play? Is he going to play a lot? Are they going to trade somebody? What are we doing here?
Well, the one good thing about the Packers and how they always like to construct their team is the emphasis they do have on making sure the offensive line is solid.
Yes.
Even going into last year, I made a joke to one of my co-hosts on a Technical Foul podcast who's a Bears fan, and I said, y'all would love to have our 6th, 7th, 8th offensive linemen to start for y'all in this upcoming season, but it's a good problem to have, and the Packers really do like to encourage competition, especially on the offensive line. They value the guys that can play multiple positions. They value putting the best 5 out there, regardless if that's your natural position.
Right.
They want the best 5 out there.
Yep.
And unfortunately, injuries are a feature and not a bug of football. Like, they're going to come. You hope they don't affect you in a big way, but having that depth, if Jordan Morgan makes it to the starting lineup or if he doesn't, at least you have that depth in your offensive line. If something does happen, you know you can trust whoever it is that's going to come in next. Like, I wouldn't trade any offensive lineman. I'd be more inclined to try to trade an extra wide receiver at this point. But, like, having that depth is going to be really, really good for them because, unfortunately, injuries are part of the football.
I think you're spot on. You know somebody's going to get hurt. And we hope we're hurt. We hope if injuries are inevitable, you're hurt for a series or maybe you're out for a game. We don't want anybody out for the year. We don't want any major injuries or anything like that.
Right.
But it happens.
It does.
We've seen it. And even in the Philly game last year in the playoffs, we saw that next man up wasn't ready.
No.
Right? That offensive line deteriorated quickly when there was an injury there. And I think the hope is not just with Jordan Morgan, but with Anthony Belton. Like, they have the depth now. But you got to figure out a way to keep those guys happy. You got to figure, again, kind of like managing the egos with the wide receivers. You might have to do that with the offensive line as well. Camille Davis, Locked On Bucks podcast, Pack a Day podcast, joining us here live at the fair. If you're not watching us on YouTube, you're wrong because you should be. We are at the Fan at Milwaukee. You do need the @ sign. So if you're watching me, you see I'm like drawing the @ sign on the screen right now, like very poorly. But at the Fan Milwaukee with the @ sign, follow us there. Are you into power rankings?
A bit, yeah. I do enjoy
So I hate power rankings. I think they're the worst thing on earth because, like, prove it on the field. Like
that's fair.
Like
that's
I
fair.
don't like Major League Baseball power rankings. I don't care if the Brewers are number 1. I care if the Brewers make the World Series and win the World Series. I don't like same thing with the Bucks over the past 10 years. Same thing with the Packers. But the problem I have with them is, like, right now we're seeing Packers anywhere from 5th overall in the league to like 15th overall in the league, and it's like, how can opinions be so different about a team when, like, they have a third year Jordan's played for a couple of years, and I get that opinions on him can be a little different. Some people think the wide receivers room's really good. Some people think it's a joke because they don't have a number 1, a true number 1. What do you say, or what do you think when you see, not just 5th in the NFC, 5th in the NFL, and then somebody else has them 15th, and then they're everywhere in between?
That, to me, just exemplifies and highlights how much parity is in the NFL, where you can look at different things, and if you're more optimistic about what you expect from Green Bay, you can have them as high as 5th. And I don't think people seeing the Packers ranked at 5th would be like, man, that's too high. Like, I mean, someone probably would if they had them at 15, but there's an argument to have them that high. There could be an argument to have them as low as 15 if you don't believe in that wide receiver room. If you have questions about the cornerbacks in the secondary with Jair Alexander leaving, and it's like, well, how do they fill in those gaps? How much do you believe in Hobbs? Like, there are questions of, like, hey, the pass rush was inconsistent last year. I don't believe it's gotten any better because they didn't change personnel. They just changed the coach. Like, there are reasons I could see someone point to it and be like, hey, I have them lower. But, again, there's also the reason for optimism of, like, hey, they did all this last year and Jordan Love was not healthy most of the year.
It's true.
They had a lot of things were on their side, too, that didn't go in their favor. So, like, it can go either way. But ultimately, I think it just highlights how much parity there is in the league for you to kind of look at a team and really see what you want to see in it and be able to have an argument for it either way.
Yeah, my only issue is, like, when people write those articles and, like, already have in their mind where they want to slot a team without really looking at the team.
Yeah.
Now, granted, it's August 1st. We got a lot of time for this to play out.
Right.
She's Camille Davis. I'm Mitch Nellis, a.k.a. Thunder. You can listen to her at Pack a Day podcast, at Locked On Bucks. When we come back, we're going to get Camille's thoughts specifically on Jordan Love and what he's going to do this season, his third year as a starter. We're also going to talk a little bit of Bucks basketball and a little bit about the Bucks uniform drop that happened earlier today as well. My name is Mitch Nellis. This is 1250 AM. It's 105.7 FM, The Fan. We are at the fair, brought to you by our friends at the Potawatomi Sportsbook, live on The Fan.